Welcome back to the Snark side, babes. I am honestly trying to muster massive energy for you today.
You are trying so hard, and I respect the effort. I really do.
I am because, well, before we even get into the absolute psychological warfare we witnessed on our TV screens this week, we have to ground ourselves. You know the drill.
We have to do the mantra.
Say it with us, Snark Squad, even if you don't look like the babes on our TV.
Babes, you are gorgeous.
Period. End of sentence. Do not let these, incredibly symmetrical, heavily edited reality stars make you feel anything less than stunning.
Especially since the behavioral rot we are about to unpack today proves definitively that having an 8-pack and a fresh set of veneers does not protect you from being a colossal walking red flag.
Exactly. Thank you so much for tuning in. And right now, grab the link to this show, copy it, and send it to your absolute messiest friend immediately.
They need to hear this. We all need to navigate this together.
We really do, because, babes, we are currently operating at a very steep physical deficit. I need to set the scene for you right now. We are physically sitting on my couch.
Trapped on your couch is more accurate.
Literally trapped. The blinds are aggressively drawn. I am wearing sunglasses indoors, and it is not a stylistic choice, okay? Natural light just feels like a direct personal attack on my nervous system today.
And we are sipping on very strong, very necessary tequila pineapples.
Because, yes, we are drinking tequila pineapples, and babes, it's given tropical. It's exactly what this show gives us.
It is an attempt at the hair of the dog, masked in pure tropical delusion.
It is delusion. We should be laid up on a white sand beach right now. I should be wearing a tiny, totally impractical bikini, sipping something out of a hollowed-out coconut.
Feeling the ocean breeze.
Yes. With zero responsibilities. Just like the cast of Celebrity X on the beach.
Instead, we are at home, recovering from Saturday.
Oh my God, Saturday. Danielle, why is this our life? Why do we voluntarily seek out this level of weekend destruction? My head is throbbing. I woke up with my phone fully under my mattress.
Which defies basic physics.
It makes no sense. And I have that very specific hollow pit in my stomach where I am entirely too scared to check my banking app.
You should be scared.
And I am terrified to look at my outgoing text history. Why did I do this?
Well, if we are going to do a full forensic autopsy of your evening, we have to look at the timeline. Your downfall wasn't the pre-drinks.
Right.
It was the fact that you ordered that fatal last round of tequila shots while simultaneously trying to draft a text to your ex.
Ugh. Do not remind me. I feel physically ill.
A text, by the way, that started with the historically dangerous phrase, I just think it's funny how, you were actively courting disaster.
I was. The regret is so palpable right now. This tequila pineapple is the only thing tethering my soul to this couch.
Well, the delusion is thick, but honestly, considering the interpersonal carnage that went down in that specific villa this week, I think I vastly prefer the hangover.
Wait, really? You'd rather be hungover than in the villa?
1,000%.
Yeah.
A 3 a.m. pizza crust scenario on your kitchen floor is embarrassing, sure. But the emotional terrorism happening on that shoreline, that requires therapy.
Yeah.
Like real intensive clinical therapy.
Oh my God, you are not wrong. But before we cross the ocean to that villa, we need to talk about the DMs.
Oh, the DMs. The inbox has been an absolute war zone this week.
You babes have been flooding our DMs with so many shady, snarky, and stupid submissions, so obviously we had to share.
We live for it.
Let me quickly explain the segment for any new listeners joining the Snark Squad today. You send in your real-life messy dating situations, the red flags, the unhinged texts, all of it.
And we act as the Supreme Court of mess. We evaluate the psychology of the situation and decide, was it shady, snarky, or just straight up stupid?
Exactly. And the submissions this week prove that modern dating is basically an escape room with no exit. Let's hit the first one.
Hit me.
Okay. This babe wants to remain strictly anonymous. She says, I went on a date with a guy who spent 2 hours explicitly telling me he is a total slow burner when it comes to relationships. He said he needs weeks to even hold hands.
Oh, I already hate him.
Right? But wait. She says, the very next day, I saw him on mutual friend's Instagram story aggressively making out with a girl he literally just met at a day club.
Wow.
I am repulsed. I am entirely fundamentally repulsed by this man. Do not even get me started on the slow burner scam. This makes my blood boil.
Yeah, the ruling on this is so easy. It is shady. It is aggressively neon sign shady.
He is a fraud.
Total fraud. Let's look at the mechanics of what he's actually doing here. The slow burner excuse is a psychological strategy. It's breadcrumbing. He doesn't want to hold your hand, but he's swallowing some random girl's face 24 hours later. He is weaponizing the language of boundaries. By telling you he's a slow burner, he establishes a narrative where his lack of effort is actually a sign of his deep, cautious respect for you.
Ah, it is textbook avoidant behavior wrapped up in therapy speak.
It's the coward's way of saying, I want to keep you on the hook as a reliable backup option while I pursue immediate gratification elsewhere.
And he wants you to thank him for his restraint.
He wants you to feel like you are earning his affection, when in reality he is just guarding his options. Babes, if a man actually likes you, he does not need a fiscal quarter to figure out if he wants to hold your hand. Throw the whole man in the garbage.
Agreed. Toss him. Moving to scenario 2.
Lay it on me.
Okay, she writes, I finally confronted my ex about a major lie he'd been maintaining for 6 months. I brought the receipts. The second I showed him the proof, he completely ignored my feelings, started sobbing hysterically, and spent 20 minutes talking about how hard his life has been lately to make me feel bad for raising my voice. Oh my God, I am physically glaring at my wall right now.
It's infuriating.
If a man starts crying the precise second you catch him in a lie, you do not hand him a tissue. You hand him a mirror. Ain't nobody feeling sorry for you.
Right, exactly.
You lied. Go process those tears on your own time. Like, do not try to make me the bad guy here.
This is a classic maneuver. It's not just shady, it is deeply snarky. And by snarky, I mean highly manipulative. What you are describing is a textbook execution of Darvo.
Wait, Darvo?
Yeah, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. The moment you presented undeniable proof, his ego sustained an injury. He couldn't deny the evidence anymore, so his only survival tactic was to reverse the roles.
That is so twisted.
By sobbing and citing his hard life, he forces you to drop the role of betrayed partner and adopt the role of nurturing caregiver. He's taking your legitimate grievance and redirecting the spotlight entirely onto his victimhood. It effectively shuts down the interrogation.
It is so sinister when you break it down like that. He is literally holding his own accountability hostage using his tears. It's emotional blackmail. Do not fall for it, babe. Let him cry.
Let him dehydrate.
Literally. Okay, final scenario for today's pre-show docket. And this one, this one is going to cause friction between us. I can feel it.
I'm ready. Let's debate.
Okay. She says, I found out my ex, who I dated for 3 solid years, went on a work tour exactly 1 week after we broke up. 10 days after our 3-year relationship ended, he took a brand new girl to a public event and let them get pictured together.
Oh, wow.
This is stupid. It is straight up, undeniably stupid. You are a colossal idiot if you do that.
Wait, you think that's just stupid?
10 days after 3 years of shared history, you do not even know how to function as a single entity yet? You probably still have my mother saved in your phone favorites.
Okay, true, but
When you are walking a red carpet with a new girl, that is stupid, reckless, and humiliating for everyone involved, including the new girl.
See, I completely disagree with your ruling.
How can you disagree?
It is not stupid. It is meticulously shady. Let's do the logistical math here, okay? 10 days is a turnaround time that defies the laws of space and time.
It really does.
Right. So if you are taking someone to a public photographed event 10 days after a massive breakup, you did not meet her on day 8.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That pipeline was already under construction. The foundation was poured, the permits were filed, and the scaffolding was up while you were still sleeping in the same bed.
That is so gross to think about.
You have to message, flirt, vet, arrange a date, and agree to go to a public event. That takes weeks.
Yeah.
This isn't stupidity. This is monkey branching. It's calculated. It's shady.
But it is so brazen. That is what makes it stupid to me. Like, if you are going to be a shady cheat and monkey branch to a new relationship, at least have the tactical decency to hide it for a month. Doing it in 10 days is just publicly slapping your ex in the face. It shows a complete lack of strategic PR thinking.
Perhaps he simply doesn't care about the strategy because he lacks empathy entirely. Either way, the babe who submitted that needs to block him on every platform, including LinkedIn and Venmo.
Absolutely. Blocked, deleted, banished. Keep sending these in, Snark Squad. We live for your mess. Slide into our DMs. Honestly, analyzing your chaotic lives makes us feel marginally better about our own terrible decisions.
It truly is a balm to the soul.
All right, babes. We are hungover. We are tropical in spirit. The tequila is finally taking the edge off the headache, and we are ready.
We're ready to transition across the globe and talk about the absolute, pure, unadulterated chaos that went down on the beach this week.
Season 4, Episode 4 of Celebrity X on the Beach. Oh my God!
Let's get into the recap because
Yeah.
this episode was cinema.
It was a masterclass in panic. It belongs in the Louvre. The sheer unvarnished terror in certain men's eyes. I literally had to keep pausing my television just to collect myself.
It was intense. But before we dissect the specific crimes committed, let's set the stage. We need to do a quick roll call of the beautiful, deeply flawed individuals currently trapped in this pressure cooker of a villa.
Yes. Let's run through the roster.
We've got Toby Ermoyan, we've got Helen Flanagan,
That's it.
John Grimes representing Jedward, which remains an incredible casting choice.
Unbelievable casting.
Chase DeMoor, Amy Kenyon, Rogan, Izzy, Freddie, and of course the man of the hour, the man who truly triggered my fight-or-flight response for 60 solid minutes.
Curtis Pritchard.
Curtis Pritchard.
We have to start with Curtis. The Curtis Pritchard beg tour. I need to get this out of my system before I combust, okay?
The floor is yours. Unpack the Curtis phenomenon.
Okay, so very early in the episode, Toby is having a conversation about Curtis, right? And Toby casually refers to Curtis as a, quote, seasoned pro.
I let out a sharp, audible scoff when he said that, like a literal cackle.
Right. Seasoned pro is a wildly generous adjective. The phrase Toby was actually searching for is a beg. The man is a beg. He is begging for relevance.
It's getting embarrassing.
How many dating shows is this specific man going to infiltrate?
Let's examine the resume for a second. He did Love Island. Then he pivoted to Love Island All-Stars.
Yep.
And now he is washed up on Celebrity X on the beach.
Yeah.
If we're looking at this purely from an analytical standpoint, if you are genuinely, legitimately serious about finding a life partner, you do not keep placing yourself in highly produced, heavily edited ITV and MTV environments.
Exactly. It completely ruins the integrity of the mess for me. If you actually want to find love, go to a farmer's market. Go to a bookstore.
Join a run club.
Yes! Get on Hinge and suffer through bad coffee dates like the rest of us. You do not pack a suitcase full of neutral-toned linen shirts and fly to a luxury villa for the third consecutive time, pretending you are just a helpless romantic searching for your soulmate. I can't take it.
Let's pull the reality check cord here. We all understand the economics of reality television. We know they get paid appearance fees. We understand that securing the bag is a primary motivator.
Of course. Respect the hustle.
But if you want to remain on television to further your personal brand, pick a lane that aligns with your actual skill set. He is a professional dancer. Why is he not campaigning for Strictly Come Dancing? Why is he not on Dancing on Ice? Go do panto.
Wait, he literally does do panto.
Exactly. He does panto, which perfectly explains the theatrical facial expressions and the complete lack of subtlety in his acting, but we will get to that later. The core issue here is the cognitive dissonance.
That's so jarring.
Pretending you are this earnest guy who just can't seem to find love in the real world while you systematically hop from one reality TV franchise to another is insulting to the audience's intelligence. Reality TV casting relies on archetypes, and Curtis is desperate clinging to the charming, slightly goofy, nice guy archetype, even as the expiration date on that persona has clearly passed.
It irks me to my core. It really does. But, you know, the universe has a wonderful way of balancing the scales. Because as much as he annoyed me at the start of the episode, he was immediately served with brutal, swift karma.
The arrival.
The arrival of Sophie Sheridan.
Let's paint the picture of this scene, because the mechanics of it are brilliant. Curtis is lounging on the beach. He is fully in his element.
So smart.
He has Toby and Helen beside him. The sun is shining. The water is pristine. He thinks he is the main character of a breezy summer movie.
Oh, he really thought he was untouchable.
And then slowly emerging from the ocean like a vengeance demon sent to collect a long overdue debt is Sophie, his ex-girlfriend.
And babes, not just a casual ex. This is the ex from a 3-year relationship. 3 years. They broke up in October 2024. And when I tell you, you could visibly see Curtis's soul leave his body.
The color completely drained from his face.
He looked like a man who just realized he left his passport at home while standing at the airport security gate. Just absolute dread.
He was petrified.
Yeah.
And he had every right to be, because Sophie did not come to play games. She had the receipts printed, highlighted, cross-referenced, and ready to submit to the grand jury.
He was locked and loaded.
She walks out of that water, and the very first thing out of her mouth is a tactical strike. She calls him a compulsive liar. She states clearly that he treated her like a doormat.
A doormat on national television.
And then she drops the ultimate hyper-specific receipt that you cannot edit around.
She looks him dead in his panicked little eyes and says, "Did you sleep with that girl from your tour before or after we broke up?"
Bam.
Yeah.
There's a lethal deployment of truth. The silence on that beach was absolute. Toby and Helen were paralyzed. They were trying to blend into the sand so they wouldn't get caught in the crossfire.
It was so tense. Let's break down the timeline math she brings up, because it directly mirrors the Snark Squad submission we just debated.
The parallels are uncanny.
Curtis immediately starts stumbling. His brain is short-circuiting. He tries to mount a defense, right? He claims they broke up and he, quote, ripped the bandage off because he simply fell out of love.
Which is such a cop-out phrase.
And he admits he did stuff with another girl, but he looks at Sophie and swears it was way later on. Way after.
And Sophie, bless her, immediately pulls out the chronological abacus.
I love her so much.
She counters his vague narrative with hard, irrefutable dates. She says, you actually only did that tour 1 week after we broke up, and you took that other girl to an event exactly 10 days after we broke up.
10 days. Babes, 10 days after a 3-year relationship. I am sorry, but if you operate like that, you are lacking a fundamental human chip.
Empathy chip missing.
3 years of your life. 3 years of integrating your lives, your families, your daily routines, and 10 days later you were walking around in public with someone new. It is a profound betrayal. Even if he didn't physically cross a line while they were together, it is absolute emotional cheating.
Let's analyze the mechanics of this 10-day turnaround again. The logistics of modern dating do not support a 10-day innocent timeline.
Not at all.
To be at a public event, pictured with a new girl, 10 days after ending a 3-year relationship, means the vetting process occurred during the relationship. The DMs were exchanged. The emotional groundwork was laid.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Sophie's assessment. You either cheated on me physically, or you moved on with a supernatural speed that proves you were emotionally checking out and lining up your replacement months in advance.
Yes.
It is the literal definition of monkey branching.
It just proves that he was a coward. When you are with someone for 3 years, there is a mourning period required. It is a social contract. You owe them at least 30 days of pretending to be sad indoors.
A mandatory 30-day sad indoors period. I like that legislation.
Right. You do not go on a work tour and flaunt a new romantic interest immediately. It's deeply disrespectful to the time you shared.
And look at his defense mechanism. I fell out of love. He attempts to rebrand his cruelty as noble honesty. He uses the phrase ripping the bandage off to make it sound like he was doing her a favor, preparing her a slow demise.
When in reality, he was just clearing the runway for his next flight.
It's the exact
And then, oh my God, then we get the piece de resistance. The moment that literally made me want to throw my television out the window.
the tears.
The crocodile tears. I was reeling. He realizes he has no logical defense against the timeline. He starts stumbling over his words. His voice does that intentional, pathetic crack, and he just starts crying.
Right on cue.
And Sophie is standing there, completely unbothered, staring at him with pure disdain.
Which is the only appropriate reaction to that performance.
I was pacing my living room. I was pointing at the screen yelling, "Wipe your face, grab a handful of dry beach sand, and rub it directly into your tear ducts. Ain't nobody feeling a single ounce of pity for you, Curtis. You got caught."
You're so right.
Yeah.
What we witnessed was a masterclass in weaponized reality TV emotion. Sophie identified it immediately and called it out with surgical precision. She told him, don't give me this nice guy TV personality bullshit. And that is exactly what it was. Let's dissect the nice guy act in the context of reality TV machinery.
Yeah.
These stars understand exactly how the edit works. They are acutely aware of the camera angles.
Oh, totally.
They know that if they cry, they fundamentally alter the dynamic of the scene. They transition from the villain to the victim.
Yes. He wasn't crying because he felt a sudden rush of genuine remorse for breaking Sophie's heart. He was crying because he realized his carefully curated PR image was imploding on international television.
Exactly. The tears were purely defensive. It is a psychological mechanism designed to halt an interrogation.
Yeah.
If a man cries, the societal expectation is that you have to stop yelling at him. Because if you continue to press the issue while he is weeping, you suddenly look like the unreasonable aggressor.
It is so manipulative.
It is a deeply manipulative tactic. It's an ego injury tear, not an empathy tear. He is sad for himself, not for her.
It is so incredibly toxic. And speaking of the specific flavor of toxic men currently occupying this beach, we need to look at how these behaviors mirror each other. Because Curtis's fake tears perfectly parallel Chase's fake pacing.
Ah, yes. Let us pivot to Chase DeMoor, the self-proclaimed slow burner.
Oh, let's unpack this absolute nonsense. Chase has been aggressively stringing Amy Kenyon along since day one. And Amy seems genuinely lovely, which makes it worse.
She does.
Chase has been telling her he needs time. He is refusing to kiss her, refusing to show physical affection, putting up all these artificial boundaries, and pulling the exact slow burner excuse we dissected in the DM.
He constructed an elaborate narrative about being cautious, taking it slow,
Well,
guarding his heart because he respects the process.
total garbage.
He built a fortress of therapy speak around himself.
But the second, and I mean the absolute microsecond that Joanna arrives on that beach, his head snaps around so fast he should have whiplash. Suddenly, the slow burner is a raging, out-of-control forest fire. All the boundaries vanish.
Which perfectly validates what we were saying earlier. The slow burner concept, when deployed by men on reality television, is a total myth.
It is a scam. Babes, men use it when they are not genuinely invested in you, but they do not want to lose access to the validation and attention you provide.
It's an ego feed.
If a man is deeply attracted to you, he is not a slow burner. He is moving literal mountains to escalate the connection. If he is making you wait, he is simply waiting for someone else to walk through the door.
The historical data backs this up. Look at the archives of reality TV. Look at Whitney on Love Island. She claims she was a slow burner with Connor, preaching patience and taking it day by day.
I remember that.
The minute a new bombshell walked in who actually caught her eye, the pace accelerated from 0 to 60 in one evening. The slow burn is nothing more than a polite holding pattern. It's a waiting room.
A waiting room. Wow, yes.
Chase should have acted like an adult, pulled Amy aside, and communicated that the romantic connection wasn't there. But instead, he strung her along to ensure his survival in the villa. It's slimy gameplay.
It is profoundly slimy. But then, as if the universe wanted to test my patience further, it gets worse. Because Chase and Joanna go on a date, and we are subjected to a piece of information that I never, ever needed to store in my brain.
Oh, the TMI moment. The moment that fundamentally ruined my evening.
Chase is sitting across from Joanna, attempting to flirt, and he literally looks her in the eye and tells her she is the only girl he has ever had sex with twice in a single day.
I felt a physical chill run down my spine when he said that.
I wanted to launch my remote control into the sun. Why on God's green earth did we need that statistic?
We didn't.
Keep it in the archives. Write it in your private diary. Who deploys that as a flirting technique?
Hey, wonderful to see you. Just wanted to quickly update you on my personal stamina records involving your body.
Ew, stop.
It is so juvenile. But let's look at why he says it. He genuinely thinks this is prime game.
Yeah.
He believes he is laying down supreme charm.
He thought he ate that.
In reality, it proves he operates entirely on a superficial, ego-driven level. Men who brag about sexual stamina in casual conversation are usually masking deep insecurities. They view women not as partners, but as metrics to validate their own prowess. It's embarrassing.
It's repulsive. But, you know, as much as I despise Chase's behavior in this scenario, we do have to direct a little bit of tough love toward Amy here.
We do. Analytically speaking, Amy played a terrible game.
She did. And it hurts me to say it because I empathize with her feeling rejected. But babe, look at your surroundings. You are on a reality TV show. You are in a villa specifically populated by professional F-boys with massive egos and zero loyalty.
Exactly. The foundational rule of reality TV dating is that you cannot put all your eggs in one basket during week one. You cannot blindly trust a man who is actively avoiding physical affection while wearing a microphone pack. You have to diversify your portfolio. You have to play the field. By focusing entirely on Chase and accepting his crumbs, she isolated herself from the rest of the cast. And now that he has predictably dropped her for Joanna, she is standing there with zero backup connections. It is a fatal flaw in her strategy.
You cannot trust these men on these beaches. They will switch up on you the second the wind changes direction. They have no object permanence.
Speaking of men with the emotional permanence of a toddler, let's shift our focus to Rogan.
Oh my God, Rogan, the absolute man-child of the century.
The narrative reveals that Rogan cheated on Izzy, which is awful in its own right. But what is truly fascinating, from a psychological standpoint, is his reaction to being confronted about it.
They was unhinged.
Amy actually steps up and speaks facts to his face, rightfully calling out his cheating behavior. And Rogan, instead of taking a shred of accountability, had the unmitigated audacity to start throwing childish, petty digs at Amy in return.
I am repelled by him. I am physically repelled. It is the utter lack of adult communication skills that gets me. You are a fully grown man.
Chronologically, yes.
You possess the physical aesthetics of a sculpted Greek god, but you possess the emotional intelligence of a toddler throwing a tantrum in a sandbox because someone took your toy.
It proves a theory I have always held. Physical aesthetics mean absolutely nothing if your personality is a void. Men who rely purely on their looks often suffer from arrested development.
Wow. Say that again?
Because society stops requiring them to develop charm, empathy, or accountability at age 16, they simply never learn how to navigate conflict. Rogan attempts to deflect any serious conversation by turning it into a joke or insulting the messenger.
It's so pathetic.
If you did not want people throwing your infidelity in your face, perhaps you should not have committed the infidelity, Rogan. It is a very simple equation.
It really is. Stay away from me. I would rather live in the woods for the rest of my life than deal with a man who deflects like that. It is exhausting.
Now, I want to introduce a concept here, because we have to contrast these toxic men with Freddie. And I have a working theory about Freddie and Curtis.
Okay, lay it on me.
I believe that Freddie and Curtis are actually the exact same person, operating on the exact same psychological software, just presented in different fonts.
Wait, I love this. Break down the font theory.
Think about their core behavior. They both share this terrifying underlying trait where they attach themselves to people way, way too fast. They form deep, uncomfortable attachments within 24 hours of meeting someone.
So true.
But the difference, the font change, is in the execution. Freddie is the respectful, minimalist font. He is calm. He is attentive. He doesn't give you the immediate ick. Curtis is the bold, chaotic, performative font. Curtis is loud, panicky, and theatrical.
That is such an accurate comparison because I actually find myself liking Freddie. He seems genuinely sweet. But you are entirely right. The rapid attachment is a massive glowing red flag.
It's too much, too soon.
If a guy is declaring his profound obsession with me on day 2 of knowing me, I am packing my bags. That terrifies me. Why are you so attached? You don't even know my middle name. You don't know my coffee order.
What they are both doing is love bombing, whether they realize it or not. They are not actually falling in love with the person. They are projecting a fantasy onto a stranger. They are falling in love with the idea of the relationship.
Totally.
But, to have Freddie's credit, at least his font doesn't include crying over his own bad decisions on a public beach.
Very true. He is definitely the preferable font. But amidst all of this heavy, toxic behavior, we have to recognize the absolute MVP of the villa. The king of chaos,
John Grimes.
Jedward, the necessary jester of the court.
I adore him. He's the messy king we deserve in these dark times.
The role of the jester in reality TV is crucial, because when Chase and Joanna return from their date, the entire villa is suffocating in awkward tension.
You could cut it with a knife.
Everyone is whispering, everyone is side-eyeing, and John just strolls right up into the center of the group and says, "So, you know that Chase and Amy are talking?" He just takes a giant pin and pops the radioactive balloon hovering over the room.
His flavor of mess is top tier because it lacks malice. He isn't trying to hurt anyone. He is just entirely constitutionally allergic to beating around the bush.
He sees unspoken tension and refuses to let it fester. I am here for John's brand of chaos. Give the man a spin-off.
He is providing the sole source of comedic relief while the rest of the cast is busy trauma bonding. Which brings us to the cliffhanger.
The Tablet of Terror.
It makes its dreaded appearance.
The worst sound on television. It triggers my anxiety every single time.
The tablet announces a double elimination. The mechanics are brutal. The boys have to vote out one girl, and the girls have to vote out one boy. Let's do some game theory. Let's speculate on who is getting a one-way ticket home.
Okay, analyzing the boys. The girls absolutely have to send Rogan packing. It is the only logical move.
It really is.
He is a man-child. He brings incredibly defensive, negative energy to the villa, and he cheated on Izzy. They need to excise the tumor. Get rid of him.
Morally, I agree. Rogan is the obvious choice for elimination. However, we have to factor in villa politics. Kane is also there.
Oh, right. Kane.
And Kane is currently floating in the background like a non-playable character in a video game. He is providing zero storyline. Sometimes casts will vote out the quiet person just to avoid the confrontation of sending home a loud personality like Rogan.
That is a fair point. I mean, I forget Kane is even there half the time, but Rogan deserves it.
Right.
Now, as for the girls, I am genuinely terrified for Amy's safety.
She is in grave, immediate danger.
Because we just outlined her fatal flaw. She put all her capital into Chase. Chase humiliated her and publicly aligned with Joanna.
Exactly.
Amy has cultivated zero strong connections or alliances with any of the other boys. She isolated herself, and now she is prime, easy bait for an elimination vote.
The boys will vote her out simply because she is the odd one out. It is the path of least resistance. They don't have to justify it emotionally. They can just point to the fact that she has no romantic prospects. Use a brutal system.
It is ruthless. Ugh. But babes, the recap was just the appetizer. Now we need to transition into our segments and synthesize this mess. We need to extract the broader psychological truths.
Let's look at the overarching themes of the episode. Let's start with segment 1. X-Files Unlocked.
Yes. Who is actually still hung up on their ex and who is just faking it for the camera time. Let's look at the Sophie and Curtis dynamic.
I know you have strong feelings about this.
I do. I truly believe, looking at her body language and her delivery, that Sophie is still incredibly hurt. You do not agree to fly to a beach in Europe to scream at your ex unless there is a deep, unresolved wound festering inside you.
That's a fair assumption.
3 years is a massive chunk of your 20s. She is seeking validation. She just wants him to look her in the eye and admit the objective truth so she can feel like those 3 years weren't a complete fabricated lie. She is desperate for closure.
I hear your perspective, but I analyze the data differently.
Go on.
I think Sophie wanted to execute a public firing squad, and frankly, I respect the tactical ambition. But let's look at Curtis's side of the equation. Is Curtis hung up on Sophie? Not even a fraction of a percent.
Oh, absolutely not. 0%.
Curtis is purely hung up on his image. His entire reaction on that beach, the panic, the stuttering, the theatrical tears, none of that was the panic of a heartbroken man seeing the love of his life standing before him.
No way.
That was the sheer, unadulterated panic of a D-list celebrity realizing his PR crisis management team is thousands of miles away and he is about to be canceled on Twitter.
Yes. His reaction was entirely self-preservation.
He is faking the emotional depth. He wants the audience at home to watch those tears and think, oh, look at Curtis. He is so tortured by his past. He really cared about her. No, he didn't. We know he didn't because he moved on in 10 days. He cares exclusively about being perceived as the good guy.
It is sociopathic behavior, honestly. And if we apply this theme to Chase and Amy...
Chase never cared. Not for a single second. Chase was biding his time, playing the slow burner card to ensure he didn't get voted off before Blonde walked into the villa. He was faking interest as a survival mechanic.
And Amy. Poor Amy was pretending she was perfectly fine with his slow burner excuse just to survive the emotional toll of liking an emotionally unavailable man.
She settled.
She was compromising her own needs and faking contentment with getting absolutely nothing in return. It's so sad.
Which bridges us perfectly to our next segment. Closure or chaos?
The eternal debate. Are these brutal public beach conversations actually helping anyone achieve peace, or they're just making everything infinitely worse?
I have a very rigid stance on this, but I want to hear your defense first.
Okay, I actually think it helps. I really do. I think Sophie fundamentally needed to stand on that sand and scream her truth at him on national television for the sake of her own soul.
For her soul?
Yes. Sometimes you don't actually need a genuine apology from a toxic ex. You just need to know that they know that you know exactly what they are.
Interesting.
It is chaotic, yes, but it is a necessary step for her to reclaim her power. She dropped the receipts. She proved to the world he was a liar. She won the battle of the beach.
I heavily disagree with your conclusion.
How can you disagree? She laid it all out.
Because she didn't get closure.
Yeah.
She got pure chaos. Look objectively at what happened when she confronted him. She walked right into an impenetrable brick wall of Curtis's tears and denial.
Ugh, true.
He did not admit to the timeline. He doubled down on his narrative. He weaponized his tears to manipulate the situation and make himself the victim. She extracted absolutely zero truth from him.
But she spoke her truth. That has to count for something.
Speaking your truth to a brick wall does not heal your trauma. It just leaves you with bruised knuckles. They reached a highly frustrating stalemate. I actually theorize that flying out there, enduring the stress of filming and dealing with his live-action gaslighting probably set her emotional healing back by at least 6 months.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it like that.
The concept of closure is an illusion. Closure is an inside job. You cannot extract closure from a compulsive liar. Expecting a liar to finally tell the truth to heal your heart is just drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It doesn't work.
Ugh. I hate it when your clinical analysis makes logical sense. Fine, the closure is a myth. But if I was on that beach, which leads us to our next segment, if we were on this beach...
Time to lean into our delusional tequila-soaked fantasies. If you were cast on this show, what kind of ex would you be? What chaos would you cause?
I will be completely transparent. I would be an absolute, unmitigated nightmare. A terror.
Oh, no.
If my ex was standing on that beach thinking life is grand and I emerged from the water, I wouldn't even attempt a productive conversation. I would be the screaming, drink-throwing, violently gesturing ex.
You'd cause a scene.
I would bring up irrelevant arguments from 4 years ago just to confuse him. I would make every single innocent bystander on that beach wildly uncomfortable. I would demand a groveling apology, refuse to accept it, throw my cocktail directly into his face, and then dramatically turn around and march back into the ocean.
Knowing your coordination, you would trip over a seashell and drown trying to storm off into the waves.
I do not care. The theatrics are what matter. I want to secure an Emmy nomination for my exit. How would you handle it, Mr. Analytical?
My approach would be chillingly different.
I bet.
I would arrive completely unfazed. My heart rate would not elevate above a resting 60 beats per minute. I wouldn't raise my voice once.
You're scaring me already.
I would walk up to the cabana carrying a waterproof folder of printed, laminated text receipts. I would sit down at the breakfast table, casually butter a croissant, and just calmly, methodically dismantle my ex's life in a normal conversational speaking volume.
You are a terrifying human being.
I would just look up and say, "Oh, pass the jam, please." Also, on October 12th at 4:15 p.m., you texted Sarah that you were single, so let's unpack that timeline while the coffee is hot.
Oh my God.
I would let the suffocating silence do all the heavy lifting. The lack of emotion is what truly breaks an avoidant personality. If you scream and throw drinks, they can easily write you off as the crazy ex. They win the narrative.
Right.
But if you are calmly eating a pastry while performing a forensic dissection of their lies, they have nowhere to hide. They just implode.
Please remind me to never, ever cross you in a meaningful way.
Consider this your official warning. Let's move to our final segment, Snark Squad breakup theories.
Yes. This is where we throw out our wild, slightly unhinged hypotheses about the cast's true motives. Give me your best conspiracy theory.
I have a deep conspiracy regarding Curtis.
Okay, let's hear it.
My theory is that Curtis, being a seasoned veteran of reality television and a working panto performer, sat in his sequester hotel room for 3 days prior to filming and planned out the exact facial choreography he would deploy if an ex arrived.
Stop. You think he actually rehearsed it?
I am entirely serious. I think he stood in front of the mirror and practiced the stutter. I think the tears were a literal acting exercise.
No way. He probably conjured up a deeply sad memory, like dropping an ice cream cone on the pavement when he was 6 years old, just to force his tear ducts to activate so he could secure the sympathetic victim edit. It was a completely premeditated performance.
See, this is where our worldviews clash. Because as much as I despise Curtis and his 10-day timeline, I do not think he is an evil, calculating mastermind.
You don't think he's capable?
I honestly do not think he possesses the intellectual bandwidth to plan a multi-layered psychological performance. I think he is genuinely just a bumbling, terrified guy who has coasted through life relying entirely on his nice guy aesthetics.
Interesting.
The second he faces real, undeniable confrontation, his brain simply short-circuits. He's implanted the tears. His nervous system just reacted to being trapped. He is not a supervillain playing 4D chess. He is just a coward who panicked.
Cowardice and manipulation are not mutually exclusive. They very often hold hands.
Okay, that is a fair point.
Yeah.
But my theory is about Chase. I actually theorize that Chase didn't even want Joanna that badly in the first place. Ooh, that is a spicy take. Elaborate on the mechanics of that.
Think about the timeline of his panic. I think Chase realized that Amy was getting way too close for comfort. She was starting to ask for actual commitment. She was setting actual expectations. She wanted actual answers.
The walls were closing in.
Exactly. He felt the walls of accountability closing in on him. So when Joanna arrived on the beach, she wasn't a soulmate connection. She was just a highly convenient escape hatch.
Ah, the human shield approach.
He threw himself at her, not out of overwhelming desire, but because it was the fastest, most effective way to detonate his situation with Amy before he had to take any real emotional responsibility.
That actually tracks perfectly with the psychology of his slow burner lie. Avoidant personalities constantly use new people as human shields to avoid actual intimacy with the person right in front of them.
Exactly. They're all so messy. They're all operating on these chaotic survival instincts.
Which is precisely why we cannot stop analyzing them. But as I look down at my glass, the tequila pineapple is officially empty. The ice is completely melted.
And I can feel the dull throb of the hangover creeping back into my temples. The illusion is fading. The tropical delusion is officially over, babes.
We must return to the harsh reality of our dark, shaded living room. But before we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on.
Ooh, give us the parting wisdom.
We have spent the last hour aggressively judging Curtis and Chase for performing for the cameras, for manipulating the narrative, and for trying to win the edit. But think about how we operate in the real world.
Oh no, where are you going with this?
How many of us curate our own post-breakup edits on Instagram? How many of us post the hyper-calculated thirst trap or the fake happy brunch photo just to manipulate the narrative and win the breakup in the eyes of our mutual friends?
I feel attacked.
Are we really any different than the cast of X on the Beach? Or do we just have a smaller audience?
Wow, that is entirely too real for a Sunday afternoon. I need another drink just to process that.
This is
The
nice.
truth. Snark Squad, thank you so much for hanging out in the mess with us today. You babes are the only reason we survive these weekends.
If you enjoyed listening to us spiral and dissect the human condition, please do us a massive favor. Share this podcast with a friend who loves analyzing trash TV as much as we do. Leave a rating, drop a review, tell us how much you hate the slow burner excuse. It genuinely helps the algorithms.
It truly does. And honestly, look at the journey we took today. We started this episode hungover at home, regretting all our life choices, and we ended up mentally on a beach causing chaos.
As we should.
Stay hot, stay messy, and we will see you on the Snark side.